Thank you for joining this lesson. We're going to study statistics 1. We are told in this question that the table below shows the data obtained from the score sample of a physics contest. We have the marks in percentages in classes, then the respective frequencies, the number of students in each class. The first part, using the table above, Roman 1, state the model class. The model class is the class which has the highest frequency. And according to our data, then that class is going to be 61 to 75. So that is the class with the highest frequency, a frequency of 30. Part 2, calculate the mean mark. So for us to calculate the mean mark, we have to come up with the class midpoints in each class. For us to get a class midpoint, then we need to add the upper limits and the lower limits, and we divide them by 2. For instance, in the first class, we are having 11 to 25. When we add and divide by 2, you get 18. The next is 26 and 30. You add and divide by 2, you get 28. The next is 31 and 50. We add and divide by 2, 40.5. The next is 51 and 60. We add and divide by 2, we get 55.5. Then we have 61 and 75. Added and divided by 2, we get 68 as the midpoint. Now, after getting the classes, we have to multiply each class and the frequency. Each class midpoint times the frequency, fx. So 18 by 18 gives us 324. The next is 12 and 28, giving us 336. The next is 20 and 40.5, giving us 810. Then we have 18 by 55.5. This gives us 999. And finally, we have 30 and 68. This gives us 2040. 2040. All right. After that, now we go to the calculation of mean. Mean, expressed this way, is usually given by the summation of f of x divided by the summation of f. Therefore, when we take 324, we add 336, we add 810, we add 999, then we add 2040. We have to divide all this by the summation of the frequencies: 18, 12, 20, 18 once again, and 30. This will be 4509 divided by 98, and to 4 significant figures when we divide, we're going to get a mean of 46.01. 46.01, that is the mean. Let's proceed to part B, the graphical work. We are told on the grid provided below, draw a histogram to represent the above data. For us to draw a histogram, we consider the nature of the data. The thing we consider here is whether the class intervals are uniform throughout the classes. And as you can see, from 11 to 25 is not the same as from 26 to 30, not the same as from 31 to 50, and so on. Therefore, because we have different class sizes, then we have to come up with another quantity, which we call the frequency density. This is now what we will be plotting against the marks. So we're going to come up with the first frequency density. Remember, frequency density is given by frequency out of the class length, or rather the class interval. So the first frequency is 18 and the class interval is 15. Therefore, we divide 18 by 15, that gives us 1.2. We go to the next 12, we divide by a class interval of 5, and that gives us 2.4. We go to a frequency of 20 and a class interval of 20, so that gives us exactly 1. We go to 18, divide by a class interval of 10, and that gives us 1.8. Then finally, there is 30 divided by a class interval of 15. So 30 divided by 15 gives us exactly 2. So these are the frequency densities now. We take every frequency and we divide it by the class interval. Now this is what we are going to plot. For us to get a histogram, we need frequency densities against the boundaries, the class boundaries. So this means that the frequency density is going to be on the vertical axis. Let me plot it. That one will be the frequency density. Then we will have the class intervals on this side, the x-axis, or rather the horizontal axis. So we can start with the least class boundary, which is going to be 10.5 according to the data up there. Let me change my color here. 10.5. Then we use the intervals of 10 for every 2 large squares. So that we go to 20.5. Then we will have 30.5. Then we go to 40.5, 50.5, 60.5, 70.5, and 80.5. So now these are the marks in this contest. On the vertical axis, we can talk about the frequency densities. Allow me to use intervals of 0.5. Therefore, from 0.5, we go to 1.0. This from 0 to 0.5, 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5. Yeah, I think that is enough scale now. We can even include 3.0. Now let's start plotting. The first class is from 10 all the way to from 10.5 to 25.5 to 25.5. If this is 20.5, then 25.5 will be at this point. And the height, which is the frequency density, is going to be 1.2. So 1.2. Let me change my ink so that I use a different color at least. That is the first class. The second class is running from a 25.5 all the way to 30.5, all the way to 30.5 with a height of 2.4, with a height of 2.4. So a height of 2.4 is going to be just below 2.5 up to 30.5. Third one is going to be running from 30.5 all the way to 50.5 with a height of 1. With a height of 1. The height of 1 up to 50.5. The height is 1. So this is where 1 is. and 50.5 is here. That is the third class. We proceed to the fourth one. The fourth one will be running from 50.5 all the way to 60.5, and the height is 1.8. The height is 1.8. So 1.8 will be found just below 20 and up to 60.5. To 60.5. Yeah, that's the third class, the fourth that is, and finally from 60.5 to 75.5 with a height of 2 to 75.5 is this one with a height of 2. A height of 2. Therefore, now we got our frequency, we got our histogram now ready. We have our histogram ready. Yeah, it is our histogram. Now with the histogram, we can respond now to the question thereafter. We are told, use the histogram to calculate the median. Hence, draw a vertical line showing where it lies, where the median lies. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to draw a vertical line using a different ink now. Let me use this. The first thing we should know is that the area of this bars represents the number of students in each class. For instance, when we take a height of 1.2 and the class interval here, which is of 15, we're going to get 18. So we have 18 students lying in the first class. Then in the next, remember we want the mark which has been scored by, out of the 98 students over 2, we want the 49th score, or the score of the 49th student. In the next, we're going to use a height of 2.4 and an interval of 5, and that will give us 12. That will give us exactly 12 students. So we will have 12 students now lying here. So this one is containing 12 students. When we consider the first, we have 18. Then this is a 12. Now we are at 30. When we consider the whole of the third bar, which is having a height of 1 and an interval of 20, that gives us 20 students. And now it's good to know that 30 plus 20 will take us to 50. Yet we don't want 50. Don't want 50. Therefore, because we want 49.5, we should know that there is a fixed height. So we need now, we are remaining with a, because we want 49th student and we are already having 30, we need 19 more students. So with a height of 1, as shown, then we need to multiply it with a width of 19, and that will enable us to get the 19 remaining students. Then we can consider the mark which has been scored by those students. So the area in this class which will give us 19 students is when we take the vertical height of 1 and we multiply with 19 units here. Therefore, 19 units will take us up to this point. Up to this point. So that is the vertical line through which the median is going to lie. Let me draw it well. That is the vertical line through which the median is going to lie. Now, it means instead of adding the whole 30, we have added only 19. The whole, 19. So now, if this is where the median lies, then this is going to be 49.5. So the median is 49.5. When you work out using the formula for median, you are going to confirm the same. So this is the vertical line which shows where the median lies. You consider the area which will give us half the number of students. So that is the area now. Thank you for following. Subscribe and share.